Hi, everybody. This is the Teenager back with an episode, and this is a very interesting one, the hobbyless millennials. I talk about the generational gap, the generational issues, and hobby is such a core factor, I believe, which is responsible for the mental health. And there's so much talk about the millennials and their mental health. So today's hot potato is hobbies. And our guest is Shashi Nayagam. Shashi Simian, she used to be when I knew her long, long ago in Pachmari. Now, Shashi has a very interesting, very creative, very stunning hobby. I'm a great fan of all that she creates. And Shashi calls herself a doll artist. She makes art dolls, and she's been making these for 25 years. And Shashi also has a very interesting phrase. She calls herself a soft sculptor. And I'm going to ask her about that a little more. She says she uses the cloth doll. Shashi, why don't you tell us about your hobby and also tell us about your exhibitions in US and UK, Shashi? So I'm going to hand it over to you. Shashi is from she has exhibited her dolls in Chennai and in other nations as well. So it's over to you, Shashi. Please, all yours.
Hello, honey. Thanks for having me here. Really glad,
Honey,
honey. Yeah, Nirja.
yes.
I,
No,
I
honey,
always,
honey.
oh,
Keep it. Let's keep it to honey. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I always known you as honey now.
Yes.
Um, yes, my dolls. I'm a soft sculpture. That's what I call myself because I sculpt the doll faces. I don't use any face masks or anything. So my
Hmm.
dolls are that basically sculpted. The faces are sculpted with needle and thread, and it just needs a few stitches to make these sculptures. So that's why it's called soft sculpture. And they are art dolls because basically, if they are art dolls, children cannot play with it. It's
Yes.
not child friendly.
Hmm.
So that is why they are called art dolls. And uh, I mean, you can make art dolls with anything you like. It doesn't have to be a very complicated um, structure. It's just a basic structure uh,
Yes.
which is sewn and
Right.
stuff can be done
So, Shashi, I thought of calling you a self-taught creativist because you're so creative. And tell us a little about your exhibitions. You've held exhibitions in several places. What was that experience like? And
yeah.
tell us about that. Yes.
I did an exhibition in Chennai,
Mhm.
which was well received. And following that, I did some classes for people to take if they were interested.
Right.
And it, there are quite lots of people very interested in doing it. And one thing I did find was the present generation
Hmm.
doesn't know anything about sewing. They're totally nil. I
Yes.
was so surprised. Some of them couldn't even hold a needle. They didn't know how to hold a needle, and which is a great shame because it is such a common uh, thing to learn. I mean, it's useful in daily life, you
Yes.
know,
It's a skill.
and
Right.
as well as in creative life. So I was really surprised that people didn't know how to sew. And I had when I had actually I think I was bit optimistic in thinking that people would know how to sew, do the basic sewing because doll making needs only very basic sewing.
Mm.
And when I did hold this class, I found the ladies didn't know how to work a sewing machine. So I was basically showing them
Shashi,
how to
you are
sew from the
you're
beginning.
from you're from another generation. Today it seems like really, really, long back because our moms used to make us sit and do cross stitch and do tatting and do some
Yeah.
crochet work. Macrame, we used to make those macrame pot holders, hangers, and this was a normal activity. But today, this you hear that there isn't any time, whereas a lot of time is spent on the screen or watching TV. And tell us how it could be more beneficial if that time was spent doing what you would be doing.
Well, I think being creative actually expands your brain. I think instead of just seeing what somebody is telling you, you are using your brain to be imaginative about things. I mean, when I started doll making, I I just looked at things and I thought, can I do this? And when once I started doing it, I said,
Hmm.
yes, I can do it, and I can do it much more than what I can see. And simple little things that inspired me was maybe a flower, a leaf, or a shadow, or something like
Yes,
that. It would
yes.
just inspire me to make a particular doll. And the doll then started from there, and you just keep on improving on that, and your mind creates various
Mm.
visions, and how you then bring it onto the canvas. It's like a painting, basically. When a painter starts, he's looking at a scene and he's just painting that, and then eventually he gets everything that's on the scene. uh, that's the way I would think a doll making as well is. What's written in your mind, you're just bringing it onto the canvas, which is the doll body.
Also, Shashi, the sense of satisfaction you get, and it's a mindfulness because in that moment you're totally taken up with the task and you're concentrating completely.
Ye-
Everything else is shut out. You are all by yourself. So it's meditative, right? You find it is
Yes,
meditative.
yes, yes, it is meditative. At the same time, I mean, it's not something that you need a lot of quietness, because
Uh-huh.
you can be doing, you can be watching television and doing certain things, making something for the doll. Uh, but I don't do it, but a lot of people do it. They sit in front of a television and maybe stitching something onto the doll or something like
Right,
that.
right.
So it can be worked, it's not a strict thing
Hmm.
that do this and that. It's
Yes.
just what you can do, and and what you're comfortable with.
Right.
uh, for me, I like to do it. I don't like anything else disturbing me when I'm doing the doll.
Mm-hmm. But Shashi, I want to know from you because many people consider it, especially families, when you're younger and they are your children, you have to take care of them. Maybe there's an older relative staying with you, and there's this notion that, oh, why are you spending so much time on yourself? And you almost guilted. There's a sense of guilt involved in giving yourself that kind of time. I know
Yes.
that my mom used to be scolded by my grandma for spending time doing embroidery. That's a waste of time. This could be better used in the kitchen or doing some housework. Did you
Yeah.
experience that?
I personally didn't, but
Hmm.
I know when I was taking the doll classes, the ladies who came to learn, they would often tell me, my husband doesn't approve of me to do this because it's not, it's something useless.
Oh.
Um, that's how they look at doll making.
Hmm.
And then there will be some ladies saying, oh, my child, she comes and she picks it up from my hand, and whatever I made, she destroys it. So these are complaints I was getting, but mainly I was getting this complaint that the husbands don't approve, or the mother-in-law doesn't think it's worth it, or
Hmm.
other things, oh, why are you wasting your time, or whatever, you can do better things. So yeah, in India, that's one of the problems, that if women take up any sort of hobby,
Right.
the society thinks it's wrong, it's
It's
not
wrong.
good, it's useless,
It's
whereas
useless.
they can possibly do it, but not the women.
I know. But Shashi, there is a school of thought, and I'm one of the same opinion that in many ways, it makes you a better mom, it makes you a better wife, it makes you a better professional, it makes you a better student if you have in some hobby. Don't you think so?
Yes, definitely, definitely. Because I mean, hobby is I mean, nowadays they don't call these things hobbies. It's got a new name. It's art. Art is what they say. Anything
Fair
you
enough. Fair
make,
enough. Yes.
even I mean, even if you're knitting, they say art, art of knitting. Not, it's
Art
not
of
a
it.
hobby anymore.
Sure.
So yes, it's all. It is very helpful because you know, you what you do, your children are watching you, and
Yes.
at some point in time they'll say, my mom used to do this, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try it. And and
Absolutely.
also it helps them to think, okay, why shall I do that, or shall I do this because mom's doing that, I can do
Mm.
something else. And
Mm.
it's important because then it takes their mind off things like, I mean, everything has a place for it, like even computers or television or phones, they all have a place in the life, in your life, but that's not the be all and the all, end all,
Yes.
you have other things. You have to um, widen your mind in, and if you see if you do art or doll
Mm.
making or anything, any art,
Mm.
it really opens your mind up. uh,
Yes. Absolutely. Yes.
I was
I.
one day I was walking with my one of my friends in Chennai, and I was go- we generally walk along these. She's also into a lot of artwork and stuff, and we were walking along the street, and there was this little pokey little shop selling lots of odds and ends, and my eye straight immediately spotted something in that shop which I wanted.
Okay. Ah.
And it was, I think it was a keychain with some stuff hanging from it. So I told my friend, oh, I want to go into that shop. She said, why the hell do you want to go there? I said, well, I've seen something, I want to go and buy that.
Mm.
And I went and bought this keychain, and she asked me, why
Ah.
did you buy that? I
Ah.
said, I said, do you see these things hanging? I
Yes.
can use them. I don't want the key ring. I just want that little stuff that's in the keychain,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I can then use that for my dolls. She
Yes.
said, Shashi, I would never have thought about it. Now,
Absolutely.
yeah,
That's
and
yeah.
she said,
You're.
I opened her eyes
Mm.
into seeing things. So whenever she comes with me, she'll say, I know what you're going to do. So, she said, you have opened my eyes into so many things. Every time I look at something and I
Mm.
think, can I do something with that?
Yes.
So, this is what your eyes open up to into various
Ah,
things. Uh,
absolutely.
and it's not just getting little beads or anything like that. It's other things that you can use that your mind opens up to.
They say, Shashi, that it's your cognitively you grow. There's cognitive growth taking place, and you recognize these patterns, and you learn to mix and match and permutations and combinations, which is what creativity is, right? Like your eye went to that little bobble, and you wanted to use that.
Yeah.
And there's this tendency to take the word hobby very lightly, but really speaking, the world's topmost CEOs
Yeah.
advocate hobbies, and many of them are into what's called serious leisure. I wouldn't
Yes.
say golf. I wouldn't count golf there, but well, many of them have some very serious hobbies, and they find that they are better leaders because when you're learning something, it teaches you humility also, right, Shashi? Initially,
Yes.
you would have got a lot of things wrong, and gradually you mastered it. So that's
I
yes.
found that because when I went to US, in US they have plenty of conferences for
Mhm.
doll making, art, and everything. So I attended a few, and I was so surprised. The people who came there, they were not just housewives or anything like that. They were
Yes.
people with very, very high jobs, high-end jobs.
Mm.
A nuclear scientist came one day. Somebody else from maybe a doctor or somebody, people like that coming and doing these things.
Mhm.
And it's not uncommon in US actually to do these sort of things.
Right.
Uh, so that I think in India, I think people should open their eyes to this, and women should not be put down when they when they want to pursue a hobby or anything like that, which generally happens.
Mhm.
Uh, so I think it's important that women do have a hobby or art or whatever you call it,
Mhm.
to pursue rather than just looking after of course, looking after the house is very important and the
Mhm.
children. But along with that, you have to have this on the side so that you are not frustrated and you're not, uh, so tired out by looking after people, caring for
Yes.
people. That's
Yes.
because that's not just, I mean, that's not the only thing in life to do.
Especially, Shashi, don't you think now during the pandemic, even though things are opening up, but it promises to continue in some way. And when people are cloistered together in closed spaces and they're not able to go out so much, it becomes even more significant,
Yes,
cultivating a hobby.
yes, yes. And I think people nowadays are so lucky to have the computer because they can connect with people across the world with similar interests. So
Absolutely.
I think people should take advantage of that, really. So you're not basically working on your own very
Right.
often. You can, if you want, you can, join various internet clubs which do the same sort of hobbies,
Hmm.
uh, blind to the same sort of hobbies, and you learn that way, and expand in your art or hobbies that way.
Yes. Shashi, will you show us some of your dolls? Hold up your dolls close to the camera and tell us a little about the
Yeah.
dolls.
So
And how much time do you take making these? How does the idea occur to you? What
um,
inspires? Hmm.
oh yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, this doll, I mean, this is all painted, but it is cloth. But when you look at it, it looks like maybe made out of some clay or something.
Hmm.
But it's a very simple form I made, and it's just the posing of the hands and legs,
Hmm.
uh, and I just painted it.
Hmm.
And all this is not fabric. This is all paper. I used paper to make the costume, and use a lot of colorful strands of ribbons to make the hair and
Can,
even the
can
head.
you can you can you hold it up a little, Shashi? Right down to the yes, that's better. That's a good view. Yeah. Now we get a good view. Lovely. Very
So
pretty. Hmm.
there you are.
And footwear also.
Yeah, footwear also. I
Footwear
make
also.
everything
Beautiful.
for them.
Okay. Lovely.
So, and the other thing is, you don't have to make different shapes. Just
Hmm.
make one shape, and you can get out of it through your creativity. You can make it into several different types of dolls. Now, this one is one body. It's and this is the same pattern I used,
Wow.
and she's
Okay.
completely different.
Haha. Yeah. Wow. Lovely. I think
So,
the skin tone is also different in this one.
yeah, you just paint a different color
Okay.
and
Fabulous.
paint, and she's more African tribal
Yes. Yes.
looking.
Yes. Very
And
diverse.
another, she has the same body form,
Okay.
but is completely different.
When you say body form, you mean the dimensions, the proportions.
The body I stitch,
Okay. Okay.
same body form of body I stitched.
Okay.
So you can see the difference. It's the same, exactly the same pattern I used to stitch those two dolls and this
Uh-huh.
doll.
Right.
So, but you can make it different, completely different.
Right. Absolutely.
So you
And
don't have.
when you say you stitch the body, is there a filling inside?
Yes, there is filling. We stuff it. We stitch the body parts and then we stuff it. And
Hmm.
then you can be creative as much as possible on it. It's use
Right.
it as canvas, really.
Yes.
So this
Fabulous.
one is more like, the frozen girl.
I've seen some of your dolls. You were posting them on Facebook. They're really stunning because such detailed work. How much time does it take you, Shashi, on an average?
It takes me about maybe 3 to 4 weeks if I can get time in between without
Okay.
being disturbed.
Okay.
But yeah, 3 to 4 week is average. Uh,
Okay.
so this is another one. I got the idea from. I get a lot of ideas from children's books actually.
All right.
Uh,
Yeah.
uh,
Very stunning.
they are really good to look at the children's books,
Yes.
poetry with little
Mm-hmm.
sketches. Then you
Mm-hmm.
get the idea of making a particular shape.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is what I call soft sculpture. The
Right.
face, it's
Yes.
all done with needle
Wow.
sculpting. And
Okay.
then you paint it. You paint
Right.
it, and you don't need anything complicated to paint. You just
Mm-hmm.
use watercolor pencils and shade it, and then just make it good with some spray.
Right. And by now, how many dolls would you have created?
Oh dear, I haven't counted actually.
Uh, because I've seen so many of them. I've seen so many of them on where very. Oh my goodness! Look at that! Look
So
at
this is another one,
wow!
and you can
Wow!
do your
Look at that!
if you're into beading, you can do
Mm-hmm.
beading.
Mm-hmm.
All is beaded,
Yeah.
and the good thing about doll making is you learn a lot of other skills. I mean, beading. I never used to know beading, but I
Okay.
learned beading so that I could, do it on the doll,
Mm-hmm.
and learn to sculpt with clay so that I could use little things on the hat has got little clay bits. It's got
Very good.
musical signs on
Yes.
it.
How
So
pretty is that? Yeah.
then I learned to do little bit of felting. So
Mm.
these flowers are felted,
Okay.
hand felted.
Right.
So you learn a lot of little other skills, and
Yes.
that's what is interesting about it, because you can use whatever skills you learn, maybe even knitting and crochet, everything you can
Hmm.
use with dolls. You know,
Do you use them as gifts also? Because although they look so labor intensive, I doubt you have the heart to give them away.
I generally don't give them away. I mean,
Don't
I
give them.
do. I don't give them away.
They're like your babies.
Yes, but I must confess, when I
Ah,
go to US for these doll conferences,
ah,
mm, I do donate a doll for the conference people because they
right.
look after me so well. So I feel that I must do something for them. So I donate a doll to them, and what they do is at the end of the when the conference is getting over, the last day, they usually have a lot of dolls and stuff in the on a table, and
Hmm.
they give a big banquet, and then
Okay.
they auction off the stuff that's on the table.
Hmm.
So yeah, so people bid for it and they get the dolls like that. So I give one, I just
Give
donate
it.
one for them. And that's what I do. Or
And
sometimes they have something called a swap.
okay.
So that I don't take part very much, but occasionally I've done. And
Hmm.
you swap dolls with another doll maker,
Yes.
and
Yes.
you get another one. You get
Exchange.
her doll, and you give your doll to her. So
Absolutely.
that's what I do.
All right. Exchanging. This is exchanging of your skills and your, your legacy and all of that. That's fantastic, Shashi. And
Yeah.
since we are this, since we're trying to talk to the new generations that don't really seem to do whole lot with their hands, the fact that there's so much talk about work-life balance, and here is something that can help you with
Yes,
work-life balance, right? Hobby
definitely.
can balance it out. Did
Definitely.
it?
And
It. Hmm.
yeah, the thing is, anything you take up, if
Mhm.
you have an interest in that, it'll just divert your mind from the mundane and
So important.
the
Absolutely.
stress of the day and everything. You just come out of it. I mean, that is why people who like music, they'll be playing music. Why? Because they want to get away from the stress. Similarly, painters, they want to paint because they want to get away from the stress of everyday life. And so it's doll making. It's not just dolls. For
Yes.
people sort of look at, when you say a doll maker, people look at you a bit funnily and think, "Oh, okay, she makes dolls." But it's not just dolls. It's much
Yes.
more
Absolutely.
than dolls behind it. So yeah,
True. And one more thing, Shashi, they call the world, there's an acronym that's very much in use today. They call it the VUCA world, and VUCA is V for volatility, uncertainty, and there is complexity and ambiguity, and the loss of a sense of control. But when you have a hobby, perhaps, at least in that moment and in that particular skill, for instance, you have a sense of control when you're orchestrating a doll, when you're putting it together, right? There's a
yes,
sense of control.
yeah. When I'm making a doll, um, my husband says, "What are you making now?" I said, "I really don't know at the moment. I've got something in my mind, but I can't explain to you." And
Yes.
the following day, it would be all half done. And
Hmm.
he'll come and look at it and he said, "Oh, it's turned into something else," So, yeah, you control what you can make things,
Yes,
make
absolutely.
how it looks. And
Yes.
it's all your imagination coming onto your canvas.
And many of the skills you learn are things that you would not ordinarily pick up in a formal class, in formal education. For instance, it puts you in touch with the community. You must
That's
have your doll community, for instance, right?
Yes, yes. Yeah, I am a member of several doll groups,
Mhm.
and we exchange a lot of ideas and stuff like that. And if you and the good thing about is people share. They don't
Yes.
think that, oh, she will take my skill and use it for herself and all. And that's one thing. I found in quite a few people who are doing any kind of thing in India, especially,
Mm.
they were very reluctant to share things
They keep it
because
close, close to them.
yeah,
Don't threaten. Okay. Yeah.
because they thought the other person would use her skill and make money. But it's not about making money actually.
Hmm.
uh, Hobbies are not it's not, I mean, you can make money, if you can make money, you make money, but that's fine. But at the same time, it's not just about money. You have to be, if you share something,
Hmm.
you are gaining more really.
All right.
uh, because the other person who gets it from you will share his or her thing,
Yes.
her ideas or her, thoughts with you.
Mhm.
So it's the sharing really, and that we have to do a lot. And I find that within our doll community, that happens quite a lot.
Mhm.
Especially when I went to all these doll conferences, I was just blown away how much people share, how
Doll
much people,
conference. Doll
yeah,
conferences. Okay.
yeah. And, people just share such a lot.
Mhm.
Um, if you're struggling with something, they'll immediately come and say, you do it like this, it's very easy, and they'll show you how to do it. It's
Yes.
not that, oh no, I can't do that to her because she'll learn from me and then she'll be going and making money.
Okay.
Not like that. Yeah, people are very sharing and caring really when,
Generous. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Shashi, have you sold any of your dolls? You don't sell them, or do you sell them?
I don't sell them too much. I've sold a few,
Mm.
but again, I'm not into selling because I don't make like a commercial. It is not
Yes, yes,
commercial
I
for me,
understand.
and
Mm.
it's just as and when I want to make, I make. That's why I don't take commissions.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people do commissions, but that's fine. They are able to manage that, then that's fine.
Right.
But in my case, I knew I couldn't manage all that, and
Mm.
if it's any commissions, I feel that it'll put restrictions
Mm-hmm.
because somebody wants it in a particular way, a
Yes,
particular
absolutely.
time.
Mm.
And if I can't get it that way, she may not want, she or he may not like it or whatever. And you are sort of, you know, you're not free to do what you want to do.
Exactly.
You're constrained a bit. So I don't like to do commissions. That's why. So I just
Okay.
don't like, I like to be free.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Creative freedom, that's very important.
Yeah.
And my final question, Shashi, before we go, tell us where you're sitting, where you're speaking from, and final message to how the new generation could really benefit from cultivating a hobby.
Okay, where am I? I'm in my husband's office.
What part of the, are you on Mars? What part of the world are you in? Tell us.
I'm in UK. I live in
Yeah.
UK. Been
Mm-hmm.
living here for the past 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think it'll be very beneficial if children also pick up these sort of hobbies. I mean, they don't have to do any complicated stuff. They can
Mm-hmm.
use a small form or a human form,
Mm-hmm.
which is a very, very simple sort of a human form, or even just a little star shape or anything like that. If they
Yes.
stitch it up,
Yes.
stuff it,
Yes.
and start decorating it the whatever way they want to, that itself is creativity.
Absolutely. And it would be a great time off from the screens, from
Yeah.
a kind of a digital detox also, and all the benefits that we just discussed. So, a fantastic, fantastic thing to take up hobbies. Thank you so much,
Thank you
Shashi,
for having
and
me, honey.
more doll making to you, more doll making,
Thank you.
and get back to posting them again on Facebook. I really used to enjoy that.
Yes,
Yeah,
will do.
look forward to seeing more
Okay.
of that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye bye, everyone,
Bye bye.
and see you next week with another
Bye.
episode of the Senior Juicy. Thank you. Bye.